Hi there, welcome back, friends. In the coming series of lectures, we're going to learn about object-oriented programming in Java. And here in this lecture, we're going to learn basic concepts and what is object-oriented programming approach. So let's start. The basic object-oriented concepts include a wide range of tools. We have class, object, polymorphism, encapsulation, inheritance, abstraction, modulation, and more. We have overloading and such concepts. We are going to learn about these things and try to implement these things with writing a code. So let's start. In the programming languages, before the emergence of object-oriented, we have the procedural approach, a procedural programming approach or procedural-oriented programming, where we have global data, local data, in form of variables or other things. We have different methods or functions and they interact with each other in that way. There is a less code reusability, the codes are generally very complex, and it is hard to realize and implement. With object-oriented programming, we have certain things in mind. First of all, we get a code reusability, such that the data and functions or methods get used and reused again and again in different formats. We have different layers of visibility mode or protection for data. We have the public, private, and protected mode, which was missing in the earlier example. All variables will be either public or open or hidden completely. But here we follow hierarchy. There we have a hierarchical traits that are being implemented from different approach. Uh, the languages like C is completely procedural or language. Language like C++ is partially procedural and partially object-oriented. Java is completely object-oriented and more things. There are different languages, programming languages out there that you can classify into categories. Object-oriented are getting highlighted these days, and a typical example of procedural and object-oriented, apart from the programming world, we can get if you say you would need a furniture table in your for your home. In the procedural approach, you would first of all sow the seed on the ground, wait for the plant to grow, become a tree, then you will cut down the tree, drag your timber or wood into planks. You would create the nails and hammer the nails together to form the table. That's why you have to work from the stage one to stage end, and you have to wait a lot of time. You have to do a lot of work on your own. So when we have to create a new program, we cannot use the various functionalities of existing programs. We have to write it again and again. But with object-oriented approach, we have to simply go to the market, ask the plank, ask the hammer, and just get it done very easily. So the task is being divided into different persons or different developers. And different developers working on the same project may divide different components of the software into different categories. One person will design UI, one will design the back-end logic, one will design the security modules, and such on. And you can use the traits that are being developed, the formats of GUI, the security implementation in form of components that will be used again and again in the coming ways. It will be production model and it will be implemented in the industrial scale. So object-oriented could be also said as an industrial revolution to the procedural mechanism. So let us understand what is a class and how a class is being implemented. From the day one when you are learned about Java programming and seen the first Java code, you have seen the class very well. You have the syntax called class, and you have been introduced to the class that everything in Java is a part of a class. Every method or thing you write in a form of class. There are classes, and you compile those classes, and run the output. So what is a class? Class is a category, simply categorization of components, and we want to divide those things. So just imagine we have a jungle, and in a jungle there are huge range of animals. So we can have two different classes, plants and animals. The plant class will consist of different categories of plants, which will be divided further into different classes or even objects. Similarly, we have animal class, and in animal class we have different objects. A giraffe may be an object of animal class, a dog may be an object of animal class, an elephant may be an object of animal class, a lion may be an object of animal class. So an object is a component or an instance of animal. Object, in other words, is also called as an instance of the class. So an instance is a particular entity which is a part of a class. So keep this thing in mind. Then we have nesting of classes. You have seen nesting of if else, nesting of for loops. Similarly, we have nesting of classes. Nesting is different here. Uh, we have particular traits or specialization to be called as nesting. Generalization is class. Uh, if we want to generalize things, we move in the top level, and if we want to specialize things, we move downwards. A vehicle is a generalized form of all kinds of transportations available there. Then we may categorize it to the wheeled or unwheeled vehicles. Then we can classify it to four-wheelers or two-wheelers. Then four-wheelers could be classified as further as cars, trucks, and more things, as specific models, as specific companies, and specific person's car for a specific unit. These all are classes or components, or you could divide these things. When you are a car driver, you are interested only to know the tools that you can incorporate. You would be interested in understanding the concept of gears, how you can use the gear, what speed will be provided, acceleration you could perform on different number of gears. You would learn about brakes, hand brake, emergency brakes, steering wheels, and such things. You are not interested whether the car has two-stroke engine or four-stroke engine or an electric vehicle. You would not be interested in learning the final details of the internal combustion engine. So this is abstraction. You only know what you need. You don't need to learn everything. So this is a modulation or abstraction that is a feature of object-oriented approach. So there's few more differences between procedural approach and object-oriented approach. The procedural approach is a top-down design. The object-oriented approach is focused on objects rather than design. We can move top or down anytime we want. The procedural approach has limited code reuse. There, it could be reused, but with very limited uh, conditions. With object-oriented program, you can use the complete program, a complete method, a complete set of variables, complete structure, complete class, or different things. You could use things more and more over and over again in the form of overloading and different things. With procedural approach, the code gets complex when you try to build a huge solution. But with object-oriented, the solution would not be having a complex code rather than a complex design or implementation. You need to understand how things are being integrated. You have to build small things and integrate it in a very fashion manner. With the procedural approach, the focus is on global data, and with object-oriented, we have focus on protected and public-private data. The public, private, and protected data concept is similar. I will tell you in inheritance. Are classes and instances. We know a class could be classified as a generalized entity having the same behavior of different instances. So there could be 10 top 10 buildings called skyscrapers, and the building would be an underlying class. There would be different instances, say Burj Khalifa or Taipei 101 Tower, Empire State Building, such are the instances of building class. Similarly, we have more classes and more buildings. Then we have encapsulation as a very important category of. We have learned about the car. A car driver does not know how the car is being implemented, actually, but just he knew how to drive the car, how to fix errors. So encapsulation is keeping different methods, objects, and variables that are not uh, required to be learned by outsider. It will be encapsulated or hidden inside the capsule. You could see only the outer covering. You could not see the finer details. So such data which falls under the category of hidden, they will be called as private. And protected data are those who are between private and public. Public data are available to everyone. They can access or use that things visible. It is visible to everyone. You have to explicitly uh, tell those things. The protected data is only visible to the same class, the holder of variable class, and the directly direct child of that class, anyone who's inheriting. So what is a child class? Here we have the concept of inheritance. Uh, Suppose your grandfather has certain treasure hunt in your home. He used to hide certain treasure, and he has a key for that treasure. He does not want anyone outside his home, other than his son, daughters, and granddaughters, grandsons. He do not want it to be known to anyone else. So he will provide the key to your father and you over and over time. So this will be protected kind of data. But anything that is personal, deep hidden for his own privacy, such thing is not available to you or either your father, available only to him. And things that are in a public domain, like his speech or books that may be written by him, is available in the public domain. That is called public. Similarly, we have more things. Here, there is a difference between procedural and object-oriented in the manner that we implement things. Suppose we have a generalized function for different shapes. In the procedural approach, we have to define each component in a single function. But with object-oriented, we can design a function once and modify its behavior in different classes. We have defined a rotate and place on say functions once, and we have changed the property over and over again for different kind of shapes like triangle, circle, and square. Similarly, we can directly call or access the different functionalities of different classes. Here we have two classes, stack and queue, having different implementations of data structure. We are going to learn later. With the main function, we can call the objects of such classes and access different things and perform various functions. Here we have created the object as the name of the class are stack and queue. Remember this thing. In the main method, the top method, we have created an object called capital Q for the class Q and the object for stack as capital S that you can see above. It is the format of declaring objects of a class. Then we can access the methods and objects or variables directly of those classes using the objects of the same class. By writing this command s.add, we can call the add method of the stack class. In the object-oriented program, we have different classes and different variables. They consist of many well-encapsulated objects and interact with each other by sending different set of messages. That may be either tokens or different set of things. We can perform wide range of operations with object-oriented programming. We're going to learn more in the coming lectures. Till then, keep learning and keep moving ahead.